Hello everyone, this is Sheila Shaffie and welcome back to another episode by ProcessArc. So you're thinking about becoming an entrepreneur. Well, that's just fantastic. And this is for you. Now I know it may feel overwhelming. There's a lot to think about, and some of you may have already taken that leap of becoming an entrepreneur and have already started the journey. The reasons for why you want to become one are yours to hold on to. It may be that you can't imagine one more day in corporate America and you just can't imagine living your life that way anymore. Or it could be because you've got some brilliant idea that you want to take to market, or that you're young and you think, hey, I've got nothing to lose, so why don't I try being an entrepreneur for a little bit, and if it doesn't work, can always come back and get a job somewhere. So the reasons for wanting to become an entrepreneur are many, and none of them are wrong or right. And this is really not what this video is all about. What I want to really talk to you about, having been in this space of entrepreneurship, having been an investor in startup companies, are things that you need to make sure that you have in place for yourself in order to make sure that you have all the chances in the world to be successful long term. And these are not things that are focused on the minutiae of running a business, or even some of the details like, how do I structure my business? Do I need to go and raise money? Do I need to get a loan? Should I have partnerships? Where should I incorporate my company? I mean, there are a million details already to think through as an entrepreneur, but this is not about addressing those issues. We will get to those if you want my thoughts around how to best run a business and structure a business, but these are things that I wish someone had told me when I was starting my business, and I kind of learned the hard way, or I was just lucky enough to have these things in place already when I went down the path of entrepreneurship naively. Really, I was very naive when we started our company almost 18 years ago. So there are three things I want to make sure that you think about and that you put in place, again, to make sure that you give yourself every possible chance to be successful. And the first thing, and all these things may be completely intuitive to you, and you may have thought about them, in which case, fantastic. But if you haven't, the first thing has to do with making sure that you have a very robust support network around you. So if you're married, make sure your spouse is really 100% on board with whatever journey it is that you're about to embark on as an entrepreneur. And if you're not married, that you have parents, friends, best friends, whatever it is, that you can rely on emotionally and psychologically as you go down this path. And I say this because the journey that entrepreneurs take requires a tremendous amount of stamina and requires resiliency. And it doesn't mean that it has to always come from inside you. It just means that you should have people around you that are going to help you through the tough times. Because if you ever thought corporate America or your day in corporate America is tough, well, entrepreneurs get slapped across the head multiple times in a day. You have extreme highs where you think you're in cloud nine, and you've got extreme lows where you just want to quit and you don't even remember why it was that you started the entrepreneurial journey for yourself. So having people that can help you cope with the very good and the very bad is very important for you. So that's that. And, I was just lucky enough that I was in a relationship where my partner, now my husband, was very willing to help me out and push me not to just take the first leap and start the business, but also every time things went really rough for me, was there to remind me that I can do it. I can do it. This is just part of the journey and I can do it. The second thing is to have some sort of a safety net. And I'm talking about financial safety net now in place, because most businesses really don't break even until the second year. Now, that doesn't mean it's the case for everybody. I mean, if you are going to be a freelancer and categorize yourself as an entrepreneur, you may already have 1 or 2 projects in your back pocket by the time you decide to go and become a full-fledged entrepreneur and incorporate your company. That's a different story than most journeys of entrepreneurs, where they may already have a job or are doing something, earning some money, and now are thinking about, changing tracks completely. So in those situations, my best guidance would be to make sure you have 2 years worth of living expenses saved up somewhere. Now that may seem a bit extreme because everyone talks about have 6 months, maybe a year. But to me, knowing that I could give myself 2 years of cushioning in case the business didn't work, or in case it took a very long time for us to get our clients so that we could generate income. And of course, the first round of income that comes through is not going to come directly to you as a company. You're going to have to pay off some of the expenses that you've incurred at the very beginning of the business, paying things like, the website that you developed, or marketing material that you generated, or social media content that you had to generate, search engine optimization efforts that you have embarked on. So there are tons of expenses at the very beginning of the business, and you may just use the first round of revenue that you get from your company to recoup some of those expenses. So you may not even get to paying yourself. So having that 2 years in your back pocket is just mental stress that comes off your plate. You don't have to emotionally spend any time on that. And you just know you're going to be okay. And after 2 years, you can go to my third point. In case the thing doesn't work, your idea doesn't pan out, you decide to give up before you've even given yourself the full chance to see if it's worthwhile pursuing or not, is to have a plan B. And my plan B was, I started the company so early on in my career that I thought, if it doesn't work after 2 years, I can always hop back onto the corporate train and get another job and then try again a few years later on if I felt like I wanted to. So having a plan, and I'm not saying that having a plan gives you an escape route. Again, this is all about ways to minimize your stress and allow you and give you the space to focus on what's at hand, which is to grow your new business. So having a plan B just gives you an assurance that if things don't work out your way, or if your idea doesn't pan out, there's something else that you can do very quickly to reposition yourself. Whether that's going back to your old job or finding another job or whatever that may be, you do have a plan B to recenter yourself again. So those were the 3 things really I wish I kind of knew when I started the business. Everybody thinks that being an entrepreneur is fantastic because you get to make your own schedule and you get to do what you want. But the realities of an entrepreneur are so far from that. There really is no distinction between that's my job and this is my personal life. When you start a company, that thing becomes everything. It's like a new baby in the house. All your attention, energy, time is spent in grooming and growing that new venture. So having people in place that can help you, having financial security, and having an idea that, gosh, if this thing just doesn't go the way I had planned, what else can I do? Just helps you forget about the noise, forget about all your fears, because that's going to be there. Fear is going to be a constant. So getting rid of some of those elements just allows you to refocus your energy where it needs to be. And I'll just leave you with one of the best advice I ever got, thankfully, at the very initial stages of starting the business. Because, when you've been in corporate practically all your life and then you're going into a world of entrepreneurship, there's nobody there to tell you what to do every day. You're not even sure if you're doing everything that you need to be doing, or if you're focusing your attention in the right spots. You are ultimately the boss now. You have to figure it all out by yourself. And this advice that I got from a CEO that is running a multi-million-dollar business was, Sheila, there's no real simple answer. The only way to grow your business is to do everything all the time. And at first, I didn't really understand what that meant. But over time, I came to realize that what he was talking about was that in order for the business to grow, I have to be out there networking and socializing people, not necessarily directly, but through publications, through thought leadership articles, through webinars, through networking at very specific events. And that's how the business started to really ultimately grow and be on the trajectory that it is on today. So that would be my one piece of advice, aside from the 3 things you need to have in place to ensure long-term success, is you're just going to have to start being out there in order for your business to get the visibility that it deserves to grow. Now, in future videos, if you're interested, I'm going to start breaking apart some of the elements of entrepreneurship, like how should you incorporate, what should you incorporate your business at? What are some of my learning lessons over the past roughly 20 years of investing in companies that are starting up, but also the companies that we've started over the years? I look forward to your thoughts and comments. Leave your questions. I'll be happy to give you my 2 cents in terms of what has worked and what certainly has not worked. And there's been a lot of learning lessons. And I will see you next week. And again, congratulations on thinking or having started your entrepreneurial venture. Until next week.